Good evening. Oh, I've got a good idea. Before next week, you need to help me with this. Work on my greeting. I need a nice, suitable global greeting that doesn't take into account the time of day. Good evening for those in the UK, and good afternoon, stateside people, and whatever else for the rest of the world, if anyone happens to stumble by. This is episode 6, maybe 7. It's one of the episodes of Q&A, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. There's loads to talk about. It might be a slightly shorter episode than usual because I feel like I'm going to die. How about you? Do you also feel like you're going to die? Or are you well today? There's quite a lot to talk about today, but before I start, a quick word from my sponsor, which is Game On Daily. I've unilaterally decided that Game On Daily is going to sponsor the stream today. So, if you don't know it, GameOnDaily.com is a wonderful platform that you should go to for all of your gaming news. It should be around about here to have a little look. There we go. Nicely tailored. You log into it, you follow some people. You can use the people that you follow on Twitter if you must. And it will tailor all your news to you according to what your friends and communities are interacting with and having fun with. So this is where I go for all of my gaming news, not just because it's my website, but because it's the best website for all of your gaming and community things. So please do check it out at some point. Like, I present that as if I'm sponsored by it. It is mine and Gaz's platform project website that we've put an awful lot into, and it's good now and it's going to get better. So take the time to check it out if you can. Right, always start the show. Oh no, do you have it? I'm not sure what that means, but Matt likes games. Good to see you. We all like games, so fair. Let's have a little talk about what we've been playing this week. So this is open for you as well. If you've been playing anything good, tell me what you've been playing. If you've been playing anything bad, tell me what you've been playing. I've not played all that much this week. The Rona, I hope not. I understand the question now. I have a sore throat and I have a headache. I'm quite achy, but I've not necessarily got that particular ailment. I'm fine, I'm good, I'm well. I'm a bit warm. Wow, KY's here, Wayne's here, good to see you all. Tell me what you've been playing. I've been playing, I streamed yesterday, We Happy Few, which you probably at least know by name, but you might not have tried it because by reputation it wasn't very good, right? Nobody played it. It had a fair amount of hype going into it because of its Bioshock-like aesthetic. It looked cool. Yes, you may have watched it. I did do it live on the Twitch, which is my other sponsor, my own Twitch channel. Go and follow that as well. It's actually not as bad as I thought. For me it is, because it's a heavily stealth based game, so I was always going to bounce off of it and feel sick. I don't like stealth based games, but putting that aside, like my own tastes, and just looking at it as a game, it was pretty nice. The Series X enhancements that it's got on it made it quite pretty. The combat's terrible, the stealth is terrible, but they always are. So Matt's played it. So Matt Likes Games says that it has cool writing and idea, but the budget didn't cut it for what they wanted to do. See, I got to run, I rolled credits on the game. I completed it, but only by saying yes, I want to take the drugs right at the start, and that gave me the end credits. Apart from that, I didn't get all that far into it to really speak to the budget on it. The opening sequence was fine though. But that's a stealth game, so it's never going to be mine. What else have I played? Have you heard of Neon White? I'm going to bring up a trailer for Neon White. There's a little bit of a Twitter craze going on. I'm staying well off of Twitter this week. I've barely been there at all. But you might have seen Jeff Grubb playing a fair amount of Neon White and bragging about his high scores. Neon White looked terrible. Welcome along, Painful Discourse. Good to see you again. Neon White. Let's have a little look at the Nintendo Switch trailer for it. I'm not going to put sound on because it's unnecessary. I'm just going to pop it up in the background. Donut County, what are you talking about? Nintendo have tricked me by putting the wrong trailer on their channel. I'll give it a go and maybe it'll start playing in a minute. Yeah, this is Neon White, and it looks terrible in all of the gameplay trailers and things like that, because it's a Nintendo Switch game where it plays like an FPS, but you have these cards along the bottom of the screen. And yeah, you can hopefully see it there. It's not the clearest of trailers, actually. Like, they've got the Switch version from the looks of things, because it looks like poo. like everything on the Switch. And all of the story and all of the stuff like that in it is terrible. But when it comes down to the actual gameplay, you've got really short levels that take like 10 seconds to get through, and it's a speedrunning game. So you get through it the first time, it's pretty simple, you're not very likely to fail very hard. And then it gives you a little high score board that says what all of your friends have got on that game, how fast they've been doing it. And it challenges you to go and do it faster than them. And so far, it's been really, really easy to beat Gaz. Until one particular level. So I was storming through, I'm still on like what you'd have to call the tutorial on it. I've only done like 5 levels. But I was smashing all of his times and laughing at how bad he is. And then I got to one level where he's got a ridiculously good time, and I'm like, oh, Gaz has gone sweat mode on this one, so I'm gonna hang around on that level for a little while if I can and make sure I can beat him. But if you're a PC player at all and you like this kind of game, it's very simple to play. Quite intuitive. It doesn't take you don't need to jump onto YouTube to figure out the best route through the levels or anything. The game pretty much tells you what they are. If you've got it, give it a play, add me on your friends list. I don't know what my Steam name is, so that's easier said than done, but give me a message somewhere else and we'll sort it out, because I want to beat all of your times as well. So KY, you've played WWE 2K22 with the kids. It's an enjoyable family experience. So I'm not particularly a wrestling person. I played some of the games like a long time ago and they were fairly entertaining. I saw WWE 2K22 has a game trial on the PlayStation Plus thing. Excuse me. So I thought maybe I'll give it a little PlayStation download and see if it's actually fun. So Matlock's Games, you remember seeing the trailer for it and it looked interesting. I thought the trailer looked terrible. No, it just looked like a really bad game. But once it gets into its speedrunning, like, essence of it, this is Neon White again. The only controls that you've got your movement keys, your W, your WASD. You've got a jump and you've got an attack and a throw your card away. Very, very few buttons, but you have as a key press, restart the level. I want to go again, instant restart, reload the level. I want to get my time perfect, and that's what the game is all about. The story that it tells is nothing, some nonsense about. I'm not even going to tell you the story. It's not worth it. How you doing, Rourke? Rourke88. I'm still not sure if I'm supposed to say RWK or Rourke, but I'm just going to go with the Rourke until you tell me otherwise. Good to see you as well. So everyone's coming back. It's awesome. My Steam name is Game On Space Acer. No, it isn't. It probably is. I've still got random trailers playing. Let's get rid of them. If you want to add me on Steam, apparently Game On Space Acer, which is also my name on various other platforms. I don't know which ones. RWK. Okay. I'll go with RWK in future. For you, not for me. I'm Game On Acer. If you're trying to add me on Steam and if you've got Neon White, please do. It will make the game more fun, and I'm sure you'll have a good time as well. Not that you'll beat my times. Actually, you will. I'm confident you will beat most of them. What else have I been playing? Oh, a little trailer for Cult of the Lambs. Come on, I want that game. I had a crack at something else. I'm still going through Guardians of the Galaxy, but I've not had the kind of time that I want to get anywhere. Oh, Wayne's in on it. What's my Xbox tag? I don't know. Also Game On Space Acer, I think. Unless it doesn't. So all of my tags are either Acer_Game On Daily or Game On Space Acer, depending on whether the platform supports spaces or underscores. Very few seem to be both. And right off the top of my head, I've just forgotten what my Xbox One is. In fact, I can just open it on my screen over here. Find out. Game On Space Acer is on Xbox and on Steam. PlayStation we'll have a look at in a minute. I think that one might be the underscore. It should be easy to keep track of, but I don't really have many online friends, so I forget. I've definitely played something else this week, but it doesn't matter. Oh, I played F.E.A.R. I streamed F.E.A.R. on Friday last week. F.E.A.R. 2. As in the Xbox 360 version, played through backward compatibility on the Series X. So again, that was on stream, so you might have seen some of it. But that was a surprisingly like impressive experience considering how old the game is. It holds up really well today. I'm gonna find it. I spent a little while on this game just shooting pictures and dustbins and things like that because I was having a good time. Like, it's got surprisingly sophisticated physics and things, considering it's ancient. They hold up very well against most of today's games. It's not super pretty in all areas. It's not massively ugly, but when you see things like the character models, their faces are not too sophisticated. That was a good time. So those are the games that I've been playing. You don't know how to navigate the Xbox app, it turns out. Fair enough. I've already caught my name, shared it out. I could even type it. No, I can't. It's Game On Space Acer. And yes, everybody add me on there and on Steam and on all of the platforms that you game on. The Switch is a random string of numbers and letters. So don't bother adding me on that one. I don't use it anyway. That's enough of that though. That's what I've been playing. You figured out how to do polls. Oh, you can do polls on here. Well, if any questions come up, we can do those. So what topics should we dive into first as the main ones? Should we get straight into the one that everyone's been moaning about? The $70 games, £70 games, whatever price they may be in your territory. Too expensive games is the term that sums it all up, but specifically around The Last of Us Part 1, which is, they would call it The Last of Us Remaster, but they already used that name last time around. So it's The Last of Us Part 1, bringing that game up to current standards, charging $70. Opinions have been exceptionally basic around the internet, and frustratingly so, people pretending that they don't understand why this is happening and all the rest of it. But we can talk about it a bit more. A little qualifier though, when I'm talking about anything to do with whether games are worth the price that they are or whether they're not, I'm going to go by the wild assumption that we can all agree. Wayne's just added me as a friend while I'm live. That's cool. And so is RWK. So you are all listening and attentive. I've got new Xbox friends. Good to see. And I've totally forgotten what I was saying. Let's get rid of my F.E.A.R stream. Can you hear an OST, by the way? I'm not getting the monitoring, but the OST that you've got today, I'm not going to tell you what it is. It spoils the fun. We've got, as always, a background from a game, an OST from a different game, and it is up to you to try and figure out what they are. Got to stop my stream, it's distracted me. So yeah, £70 games, $70 games, whatever games should cost. We're going to completely discard the potential or the deeper philosophical questions on whether access to games should be restricted to different people and meritocracy and all the rest of it. We're going to pretend that everything in the world is as it should be, and people should have to work and pay to get access to games, right? We'll just forget any deeper conversation on. We could definitely have a deeper conversation on how right or wrong that is and circumstances for piracy and all the rest of it, but we're not going to. We're going to say games cost a lot. And you've probably seen the general take around The Last of Us. It's a conversation that goes on and on and on since Sony and a few other publishers bumped the price up by $10, £10, whatever. Wayne, in fact, so Wayne still thinks they should be £20, which isn't a horrible take, to be honest. We'll talk about what they should cost in a minute, but The Last of Us, like all of Sony's first party games, is a full-on $70, £70, which is a lot more for us than it is in the US, but it's a lot of money for a game. And people are pretending that it's surprising despite knowing full well that this is Sony's standard price. What do we think of it? Do we think it's a travesty that they're remastering, or remaking I should say, The Last of Us Part 1 again? Because my take on it is that it is not a travesty at all. And if you look at film and other industries, it's fairly normal behaviour that KY will come back to that in a second, because me too. It's fairly normal behaviour though that beloved films and franchises and even music gets remastered, very low effort, just to bring it up to modern standards, modern technology and whatever. Games is obviously a way different medium to films and to music, in that there is a lot more that they can do with it. So this Last of Us remaster is not digitally upscaled color graded with a few effects done on it. They are actually properly rebuilding it. And for me, perfectly makes sense that they're going to charge it as if it were a new game. Whole different question on what that should mean, what a new game should cost. But we'll stick to The Last of Us for now. I see a lot of people arguing that if you don't like it, just don't buy it, as their counter to the price. And I see a lot of people arguing in response to that it's not good enough, you should voice your discontent and have an argument, and citing things like microtransactions, which is quite interesting. The microtransaction argument is very different to me to the Last of Us argument. For me, with the Last of Us remake, I think if you don't like the price of that game, not buying it is a perfectly adequate response to send the message that you don't like the price of that game. Whereas in the microtransaction conversation that's always gone on for years and years and years, when people say, like, just don't buy it to microtransactions, it's not a good enough response in that scenario. Because for me, as someone who's bought a game that's got microtransactions in it, me not spending money on those microtransactions doesn't stop those microtransactions from ruining the games that I want to play. And that's a very different scenario to The Last of Us Remastered, because The Last of Us Remastered coming out, I can disagree as hard as I want that they should or shouldn't be making it, and if I don't buy it, that's the full extent of its impact on my gaming time. It's not the same as microtransactions. I can vote very effectively with my wallet, and by the way, I absolutely will vote very effectively with my wallet by not buying that game for £70. Curiosity from all of you. So most people here are saying that you pretty much don't buy games at full price. RWK is saying that Resident Evil 4 Remake will be worth that. I realistically might struggle not to buy God of War for that money. And I might struggle with Spider-Man 2, like real prestige games. Even then, that's only because I need to go on shows and talk about these games. It'll be a bit hard not to know what I'm talking about. I think if I weren't presenting and talking like I'm supposed to know things about these games, I probably wouldn't buy those two day one either. I would wait for a sale. But what is a price for you for a normal game? We'll say, I don't know, say they're making a new Gears of War. We're going to assume everyone likes Gears of War a little bit. Gears of War 17 comes out. What price would you be willing to pay? Bad example, because it's obviously going to be on Game Pass. Hypothetical though, what's a fair price for a game? Because for me, when people say $70 or £70 is too much for a game, I have a little chuckle. I absolutely agree. But I also thought £60 was too much for a game. And the tipping point for me when I first started to really consider whether it was worth getting a game day one or not at a launch price was when games went up to £50. The difference from 45 to 50 was fairly significant to me. And that was only the PlayStation 4 generation. It wasn't very long ago. I remember because I bought Bloodborne for £50 based on all of the hype around it. And all of these increases since, just, I don't know that they feel much worse. Like 70 is obviously a lot more than 50, but it's still in the realms of that's too much for a game. You've got no issue paying $70 for something that's these Mad Lights games. No issues paying $70 for something that you definitely want, but it limits the amount of risks that you're willing to take with your purchases. Yeah, and it is the thing that I always say about games and prices, like more holistically, the way that they should be priced. I think it's a massive problem that prices are set ahead of a game being made. In a way, I think that's a bad development practice. So for Sony to say, like, Naughty Dog, you're going to make your next game, by the way, the price is going to be 70 quid to make your game up to that standard, that's the wrong approach to development entirely. I strongly believe that developers should make a game, they should make the game that they want, they should make it as good as they want, and then they should see what they've got and price it accordingly. And values, like, it's a difficult thing to determine, it's always going to be a bit subjective. But making the game and then setting a price makes so much more sense than setting a price and then trying to build a game up to it. And that's what the industry does right now. Part of that is because of retail. Physical sales are kind of holding things back in that sense. So if you go onto Steam at the moment, like the PC marketplace doesn't really have the physical retail market to contend with, and outside of the publishers that are trying to keep parity with console prices on Steam are much more varied, because they are able to make a game and say, hey, this is the price that we think is fair for the game that we've made. Rims is here. Welcome, Rims. So, Painful Discourse, you think 70 is too much for the remake? Same motion capture and performance and story, but for a new game, it's a different story. I do also... There are also questions for me when you talk about... Like, it's really, really difficult to say what a game is worth, like I say. But when you talk about games not having microtransactions and things in, when I think about it seriously, like if you took away options, if you took away Game Pass and you took away... Rims has gone straight in and called out what the background is. It is Yakuza Like a Dragon, sitting in a cafe, having a nice chill time. Yes, Rims, you get the points for that one. But if you were to take away Game Pass and take away free-to-play games and all of these things, and just say, like, what are you willing to pay for this hobby? What could a game cost? Then I'd probably go pretty high. Like, it would take a lot of price increases before I were to consider dropping out of gaming entirely. So I get that that's inevitably going to lead to price gouging forever, because I'll always be willing to game. But reality is we do have all of these other options, right? We do have Game Pass, we do have waiting for discounts. The Last of Us remake, I'm probably not going to buy at all. Like, it's going to go onto their service after a year or two. It's not like the story's going to be spoiled unless they go and change it dramatically. I think everybody knows the story of The Last of Us by now, so... It being its full price, its expensive price, its $70 price, let's just say it's day one Sony price. There's a market for it. There's a market that buys every edition of the original Star Wars trilogy every time we get a new media format. I wouldn't rebuy the Star Wars films, but people do. Don't you mean drop out of gaming with sold games, not pirating? Pirating, I'm not going to get into pirating today. The ethics or lack of, or anything in between. Because that, again, goes on for too long. Biggest problem with games is you have to pay big money before you even know that you will enjoy it. Unless you're a PlayStation Plus premium subscriber and you get your 2-hour trials or whatever they do. We're going to look at PlayStation Plus in a minute. Alana Pierce thinks The Last of Us remake is probably more for new gamers to watch the show, and it's justified for them. There's different sets of people, KY. Like, it makes sense for new sets of gamers, and it's not just new PlayStation gamers, because they've already said that one's coming to PC, as if we didn't already know. So it is a whole new range of people, and if you have like a series like The Last of Us, like so highly awarded, and you've got such a big discrepancy between part 1 and part 2, at some point in time it makes sense to bring those in line, modernize them. Whether it's too soon or not, there's some argument that you should wait, especially if they're planning to do more Last of Us games in future, which they've said they've already got a story outlined for a third part. So you could easily argue that they should be waiting for part 3 and then they should bring them all up to the same standard. But at the end of the day, like people like to say, it's a cash grab. Of course it's a cash grab. Sony exists to grab your cash. So does Microsoft, so does everybody else. So cash grab's the name of the game. So, who's going to buy? I want to know too. I want to know who's going to buy God of War Ragnarok for 70 monies, and who's going to buy Last of Us Remake for 70 monies. You just want to add to it that if publishers go with Ubisoft removing games, then what can you say? Yeah, there's a whole other topic that we could go into. So I think they actually, I think they said it's not true now, but during the week, Ubisoft, their Steam pages updated to say they are, first of all, they're going to stop selling some old Assassin's Creed games, but it had a note underneath that also said that, so they're going to stop selling them immediately, but from like the 1st of September, even if you've already bought it, you won't be able to play it. And that rightly got a bit of backlash. Didn't get enough backlash, but it got some. And I'm always on the position. So this is the game preservation arguments that you get. Have I started going to the gym? I'm wearing Under Armour. No, I used to go to the gym, so I have Under Armour clothing. It's not current. Threw myself off completely. What was I just saying? Oh yeah, game preservation. So I've always said game preservation is important. Everything that can be played offline, you should be able to play offline forever, and no corporation should be putting anything in those games that can take that away from you. Ownership's like a strange topic. You don't own things anymore, whether you want to or not, whether you buy a disc or not. But everything the company does that can take that away from you and stop you from playing it is bad. However, for me, that's still secondary to good online features. So everything that I say in favour of game preservation, I will gladly chuck out the window if the game has a fair and just reason to require online infrastructure. If they're doing something like Hideo Kojima's game that he's making with Xbox's cloud team, of course that's not going to be a good case for game preservation. Of course Microsoft can turn all of that off and it'll go away. And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't make it, and it doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong. If you want to push into the online space, I fully encourage that. It's more important to me than being able to play that game 20, 50 years later. But it is not okay for Ubisoft to remove access to games that there's no reason to remove access to, that people have bought and paid for, and did buy with the understanding that they'd always be able to play it. Rims, the problem with game preservation is that there are some games that when you pop in the disc, it starts to download the whole game as it's not on the disc. This is current games. I think pretty much every Xbox game, if you buy a disc. I haven't got a single disc for my Series X, but again, I appreciate that people prefer that, and I'm glad that it's supported and needs to continue to be supported. Doesn't need to be priced the same as digital games, because that's a problem for me, but disc should be supported, and yes, a whole game should be on it, and you should be able to play it, unless it is specifically an online enabled game. How was it? You've missed so much. I don't know if I've made any sense whatsoever, but we're having some chats. It's a good time. Nobody's named the OST that's playing yet, so maybe you've got a chance on that. Coffee sip. So Wayne says the indie games are such low prices, they're doing better. If you look at your gamer score this month, you've played a good few with 27k score for the month. I have hardly any gamer score. Anybody that's just added me as an Xbox friend, you're not allowed to like broadcast my gamer score. It's low, but it's old. Got games on there from the days that achievements were invented. I just do not chase achievements whatsoever. Difficult to justify £70 for a AAA when there are great indies for under 20. Yeah, and the indie scene is like the epitome of what I was saying. You build a game and you price it accordingly. So all of these. Nice try, Hell was here. It's not a racer. It's not Wipeout. But there are speed vibes to it. Am I on live chat? Am I missing things? I apologise if I'm missing any of your messages. YouTube always defaults to top chat where it selects. If I've missed your message, it's not because I didn't want to read it. It's because YouTube thinks you're worthless and it's hidden it away. So Matt is 100% down for Ragnarok at $70. Ragnarok is a difficult case because yes, it's probably going to be brilliant. Like everybody expects it to be brilliant. It's also a game that's going to be highly susceptible to having the story spoil. And you can have your guesses at what it's going to be, but we know it's concluding the Norse saga and Atreus' story and all the rest of it. So it'll be one where a lot of people would pay whatever Sony ask on that one, I think. Because of smart delivery, if we end cross-gen, games will be on Xbox disc again. Smart delivery is not an excuse for not having the game on the disc. You're right that that's a part of it. So if you buy an Xbox game, they are not all the third-party ones, but at the very least the first-party one, they are cross-gen games. The disc gives you license to it. Smart delivery will download whatever version of the game that you need. But that doesn't really excuse having no version of the game on the disc. At the very least, I mean, I guess technically it would make sense for compatibility to have the lowest common denominator there. So if you had the Xbox One version of the game on the disc, then at the very least you'd be able to play something in 50 years time, right? But you're right, that smart delivery is a factor in there. Thing is, it's Microsoft and it's Phil Spencer that come out beating their chest talking about game preservation, and they always do it to puff their chest out and say, look at the stuff that we've done for game preservation, look what you can do with these 360 games. And like I say, I was playing F.E.A.R the other day, the 360 version of F.E.A.R, and it was a lovely time. They had on the Xbox store, they had a particular backward compatibility sale on at the moment, so you could buy a bunch of 360 games and you could buy them quite confidently knowing that they're going to play really well on the Series X, and that's good. So they're right to puff their chests out, but they're not, for me, right to talk about being champions of game preservation when their current games don't. Even the current consoles, you've probably heard, the current consoles can die and be taken away from you. You can lose access to the hardware if Microsoft turn their servers off, which is wild. So they just need to be a bit honest with themselves and handle game preservation on old games, but also the ones that they're putting out now, to make sure that those are preserved into the future if they want to claim to be those heroes. Doom became so popular back in the day because you could play 20% of the game for free, not rocket science. Trials, we'll move on to the PlayStation thing in a minute, because they've got a little trial service for better or worse behind a paywall, but we'll get there. Ragnarok is just DLC. It can be DLC. To an extent, it's not even a bad thing. At some point, it will be the way to make games. Like, technology will stop advancing enough that you can say, hey, we've got a good core here, let's expand on it and build new things. But yeah, Ragnarok, looking forward to it. Probably will have to pay a whole load of money for it. Let's look at PlayStation. Let's look at, in fact, we'll talk very briefly. Did anybody see today PlayStation Stars? Roblox is where you'll be able to preserve all of the terrible copied versions of games. You get into the future and you want to play, I don't know, Destruction All-Stars, and they've turned the servers off. There's probably a version of Destruction All-Stars on Roblox that you can go and play. Preserved forever. Slightly more terrible than the real version of it. Why did you say Roblox? What are you talking about? Oh, well, I see. So Isla said I never acknowledged a guess. What was your guess? Tell me again. I can't be scrolling up. You're going to have to re-guess. You might have got it right. You might not. We'll get back to it. Microsoft Rewards, but behind a paywall. No, PlayStation Stars isn't behind a paywall. It's very similar to Microsoft Rewards, but a little bit smaller in scale. It's very much contained to the PlayStation ecosystem, I think. I said the future, you said Yakuza right at the start. Oh, okay, well, you got Yakuza, yes, the background is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Congratulations, you can also have points for that one. No MS Rewards in Poland, so maybe in Poland, PlayStation Stars will be the only option. From what Sony have said, and I'll quickly bring it up, let's have a little look. Let's have a little look at everybody's favourite website. Got to be on there, yeah, there we go. I'll go straight to the actual blog. That's not the actual blog. It's an all-new loyalty program described as basically exactly the same as Microsoft Rewards. Do you use Microsoft Rewards? Obviously not if you're in Poland. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm really bad with Microsoft Rewards in that I have never bothered to set it up, and I've accrued some by accident that it's given. And yeah, there wasn't much to buy. It's quite good if you want to use them to kind of keep your Game Pass subscription going for cheap or whatever. But besides that, there's not a whole lot that you can do with them. Lots of sweepstakes for competitions that you can't win. But Sony's one is saying it's basically exactly the same thing. You can earn points by buying things, obviously, because they love you to buy things. You can earn points by finishing certain challenges in games. There's things like being the first one to get a platinum for a game in your time zone. So it's quite a nice player-centric way to do their reward systems, but it's basically exactly the same as the Microsoft effort, in that you can use it for, you can redeem certain things on the store, you can get some currency and things like that. Basically, it really does look like they've gone, oh, a lot of people like Microsoft rewards, and it is inspiring people to stick to an ecosystem and buy lots. Let's have a piece of that. Which makes sense. It looks like they're doing okay with it. They talk about digital collectibles, but they have come out specifically and said they're not NFTs. You don't need to hate us. These are just collectibles within the PlayStation ecosystem. What you can do with them, who knows? Isla is yelling. I was planning to use it for Game Pass, but it takes too long when you can't play online. What do you mean you can't play online? So Wayne, you've been using your rewards to keep your Game Pass Ultimate ticking over. I had some and I blew them all on random sweepstakes on the off chance that, you know, it's a sweepstake. You never know, you might win something, but probably not. Don't have much friends. Oh. Well, I don't know anybody that could help you with that. Isn't Roblox online? Yeah, Isla. Play your Roblox. That's mean, KY. Nobody plays Roblox. Everybody knows I am the... it's like 4 years in 5. It was my most played Xbox game, because my account was signed in the background when my child was playing. But you've never played Roblox. That's the best way to be. It's not a good ecosystem. You don't know what it is. It's like 10 times more famous and valuable than Minecraft. So I have both of my children, one more so than the other. One's kind of growing out of it, but both of my children have spent a bunch of time in Roblox, and it is a horrible place. Full of dodgy copyright theft and weird rip-off games. But you can, yes, you can probably make your own friends in Roblox. And they can like recycle memes for you. Wayne, you've been playing Roblox. Just log in to get the achievements. Oh, that's... Your whole Xbox account is null and void now. All of those 27,000 achievement points you've got this month or whenever it was. Null and void because you've been farming Roblox points. Oh well. Can't win them all. That's the PlayStation rewards anyway. I just noticed the other day, and for some of you this will have been available for a while, but in the UK it was at some point this month, and I don't know what date exactly, but the PlayStation Premium stuff is available here now. Roblox makes you sick playing it with your son. Yeah. You're like a better father than me. I couldn't bring myself to play Roblox with them. But RWK, have you ever purchased any Robux? Have you bought any Robux of the currency for your child? Or for yourself? Maybe you wanted a crappy pair of angel wings or whatever they have. PS stars you can only use on selected titles. Yeah, only, and even then it's not even necessarily whole games. It does say that you can use it for currency as well. And that you can use it for collectibles and all sorts. I don't know, I'm sure that will kind of change over time, but in essence they just want you to stay on PlayStation, keep spending your money there. I guess having a loyalty system is better than not having one, but like I say, I don't use Microsoft rewards myself really. There's a fly trying to get me. Doxed. You've never bought Robux. The free items from Ultimate you give to your niece. Oh, you mean you could... Docs does in you can see my name on the PlayStation. It's not a secret. My name is known. Gaz always calls me by first and last name. So PlayStation Plus has this little premium tag on it now. And... let me blow it up here for a minute. Does that work? It does. Have we seen this? Has anyone had to dig around PlayStation Premium? Because you've got game trials. Surprisingly, is the first listed... How was he asking my browser of choice? That's a question. I use all of them. I don't use all of them. That would be ridiculous because fly. There's like hundreds of them, right? But I use... so I run Game On Daily and have reasons to have all of the browsers there for testing, but also multiple things logged in. So I actually use Edge, Firefox and Chrome. Usually have all three of them open. Game trials though, so for PlayStation Plus Premium, when you go into the feature list... Oh, it's changed since I looked at it yesterday. No, it hasn't. The very first benefit listed is actually the trials, then the classics catalogue, then the streaming, and then the actual proper games. Which is a weird way of ordering it. It's not even alphabetical or anything like that. It's almost like they think trials are the most worthwhile part of it. You installed Siphon Filter and played it for 3 minutes. It doesn't do well, huh? Siphon Filter's had trophies and stuff added, hasn't it? Oh, Wayne, are you a trophy hunter as well as an achievement point collector? For me, the thing that took me right out of caring about achievements was being a multi-platform person. So, okay, so you do only focus on the one. You focus on your achievement points. I used to get achievement points, and then I started playing on the PC, and then on the other things, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever. And it got to a point where points were spread so thin that I didn't care about them for the sake of the total. And I just came to recognize that most of the points were like, do the crap part of this game to get some points. So I have not cared about them since. I don't get platinums. I don't try for achievements on Xbox games. If they give me them, then that's nice, but not something that I seek. How was it? What do I think of the PlayStation 5 UI? Isn't it funny how everybody thought, like, when the two consoles came out, the Series X and the PlayStation 5, there was just like people and journalists and articles everywhere saying, wow, it feels so new and shiny on the PlayStation. The Xbox just feels like you're playing on the previous Xbox again. They should have revamped the OS. And I said, like, right then at the time, that feeling's going to last one day. One day, and then you'll go, oh, there's a reason why you don't change it. The one that's been worked on and refined for like 8 years is unsurprisingly better than the one that you've just pushed out for launch. The PlayStation 5 OS, it's not terrible. Like, it's all snappy and responsive. Let's just go back to home if I could remember how. Coughing away. Knocked my microphone. I don't use any of the new features that they introduced. Don't really know where I'm going to find them. Forgot to Ghost of Tsushima. They added these activity cards so you can like jump straight into various points of the game. Don't care. Like, never going to use those. It's okay. I don't know. I would say I'm not massively a fan of everything about the Xbox One either. So the Xbox One has obviously been refined and I know my way around it and I'm happy with that. But it is more cluttered than this one. Like, you do get a lot more adverts and stuff on the Xbox One. Just looking at this is relatively clean. You can have a look at your art and stuff. Tells you what you need. I don't care. I much prefer... So obviously the best like feature to be introduced with the consoles is going to be Quick Resume. Quick Resume adds a lot to playing games. But it's not something that you look at, it's just something that works. It makes it nice and quick to go and play lots of games. Besides that, I don't care. I don't want to dick around in the OS. I want it to be as quick and simple as possible to get to the things that I want to get to. Quick Resume is so buggy with Forza Horizon 5. Quick Resume is actually quite buggy with quite a lot of games. Forza Horizon 5 has a lot of like online functionality built into it, even if you're playing offline. So I kind of get it being problematic on that one. But I also had, when I was playing the JRPG I was playing, the Shining Resonance Refrain, it was an Xbox One game that had no online functionality at all, really. And it kind of surprised me that that was janky. It was, I would say, about a 50-50 success rate on whether it would resume properly or whether it would kick you back to the title screen, which meant that I had to play like you would in the olden days and find save points, not trust it. The PlayStation Quick Resume is similarly, it's not reliable. Obviously it's intended for just one game and it works most of the time, but working most of the time means that you can't rely on it. You have to save the game like you used to. Do you think the Xbox UI feels clunky compared to the PlayStation 5s? I think the Xbox UI has too much crap space. I don't think it feels clunky necessarily. Like it still moves just fine. The bar that you get on the left when you press the guide button is quite useful. But yeah, to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time in either operating system. I turn these consoles on specifically to play a game, and I get in the game as soon as I can, and they both do that well enough. Girl with a gajillion. Bitch with a billion. You've decided to become a gamer score nerd. No, you haven't. You're going to be installing all kinds of things from Game Pass if you do. Get them Peppa Pig points in. 45 minutes to get 1,000 points. Have any of you done that? Have any of you jumped on Peppa Pig to get your achievement points? You must confess. You were lost when you first used it and it didn't feel as responsive. Okay, why are you kind of new to the Xbox ecosystem? Were you a PlayStation person that's just moved across and now uses both? You played Peppa Pig last night? Is this a true story? I'm in shock. So Wayne, you've got 200,000 points. You want to get to 1 mil. You will do Peppa Pig tomorrow. You've got a guide ready. Oh, don't do it, Wayne. Don't do it. You have full autonomy. You can do what you want, but don't waste your time on bad games to get points that don't mean anything. Play a game that you like. Best background? The Yakuza one? I like to have a little bit of life in the background. Doesn't need to be a lot, but something moving keeps it there. You were inspired to action when you saw that I had more gamer score on Minecraft than you. That doesn't even make sense. I mean, I am good at like everything I touch, I suppose. Which, by the way, everybody does need to get that neon white on the go. If you haven't already, if you've got access to a PC and some Steam content, get it going. Welsh Hunter has won. 1 achievement point. That will be an account worth keeping. You never played legit on Bedrock, so you didn't get the achievements. If you link your, I don't know if it works actually, on some games, if they have cross-platform support and you play it on like the PC or the PlayStation, and then you launch the Xbox version one day and you link the account properly, then it suddenly gives you all of the achievements. I had that. I might have mentioned at some point that I was planning to play the Avengers game on stream, like the old Marvel's Avengers one, and I fired it up on the PC and it gave me like 10 achievements for something that I'd done one day on, I don't know, it must be on the Xbox, I'm not sure. But yeah, it just started kicking achievements at me. And then I had a look at the, when you launch the game, it's like, oh, it's time for 3 times experience for Thor and you can get a discount on his cosmetics or whatever. And go and claim your free reward. And it took me to the store page. And I looked at the store page and went, oh, fuck that. I'm not playing this game. Oh, that person has made a guide. So, Wayne, I completely misunderstood what you said. When you said Welsh Hunter has 1, I thought you meant Welsh Hunter is an Xbox Live account that has a gamer score of 1. Which would have been, like, reasonably impressive. More impressive than anything Randall Thor's ever done. It has, so you never played legit. It has Switch listed too, but when you play Switch, you adjust the tick rate. Oh, okay, so you've conned yourself out of the achievements with your cheats. I understand. I will watch your gamer score tick up. If you actually wanted to, if you decided you wanted to like get competitive with your score, you could very quickly overtake my total score, I'm sure. But I forgot what I was talking about. So, PlayStation Plus Premium. Do any of you use it? Oh no, I like Rand fine. I'm just mocking his man with a million thing. That was years ago. I don't know what he's got now, actually. I have no problem with Rand whatsoever. So, PlayStation Plus Premium. Have any of you had a dick around with it? Like, have you logged on to PlayStation? Oh, I can't get to the menu. Xbox better. No, I got it. I found it. Because I had a little look through. I only discovered, it was either yesterday or the day before, I discovered that it has launched in the UK. And there's more game trials than I expected, but what we make of game trials... I mean, what do we make of game trials? I don't see why they should be locked behind a paywall. If you want me to play a game to see if it's worth buying, then make it a good old-fashioned, like, demo/trial that's not behind a paywall. I will play it, and if I like it, I might consider buying it. But there are more than the 5 or so games that they said were doing it. Oh, there's a view all tab. Oh, KY, when you were asking about the interface being better or worse, the store on the PlayStation Store is a lot worse. Xbox have got that far more under control, including the relaunched version of the store. And the actual games catalogue is also a thing. I don't know. There's more on there than I expected. I had a little look through the games catalogue for PlayStation Plus Premium, and there were things that I would play. Wayne, your son has had 130k gamer score for years. You were stuck at 70k-ish. I think I've got like, I don't know, like 50,000, 60,000, something like that. Really not high. Tony, what the hell is this? Tony will know. Tony plays games. Tony, what's the OST? No one's guessed the OST yet. PlayStation Plus has cut features in Poland, but it's still the same price. Yeah, so you get a deluxe tier, don't you? I think do you get the same Essentials one, but you get PlayStation Plus Deluxe instead of Premium, and you don't get all of the streaming stuff? Because they're not capable of doing it there. You're right, it should be cheaper for you if you get less features. Tony is here. Tony has a green nauseous face, and he says, what the hell is this? I think it's because he's never seen a PlayStation Plus service before, and he's like, what the hell, there's so many games on here, hundreds of games. And he's just like, his worldview that only Xbox has services has been all shaken up. Yes, Tony, this service is here. Oh, Deluxe has less games as well. I don't have a clue why that would be, actually. Your feet stink. That's why Tony's got nauseous face. The Halo OST. Halo OST, it better not be. Because that's not what I selected. If it suddenly started playing Halo, then something's gone wrong. It shouldn't sound anything like Halo. We had Halo 2 last week. PlayStation has a service. PlayStation has many services. You can spend as much money as you want on PlayStation. And probably some money you didn't want. It's got exclusive discounts, exclusive packs. The only thing that I will say about, so the games catalog, not the classics catalog, get out. The games catalog has a lot of overlap with Game Pass. So I think the July games that they've announced that they're releasing, you've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Integrate, whatever, which is obviously PlayStation exclusive, like they can have that. And you've got Stray, which is their kind of flagship day one game that looks terrible to me. We've talked about Stray before, so I won't go into it too much, but it's a cat playing stealth games and doing lame puzzles. So Stray's going to be one I don't even install and play. Sorry, Annapurna and whoever's making it, it's just not a game for me. But Stray is their kind of day one on PlayStation Plus thing. The other games that they put in there are a whole bunch of Assassin's Creeds, Guardians of the Galaxy and Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy are obviously both on Game Pass already. And it's the same for, if you look through the entirety of the catalogue, there's a lot of overlap, which isn't necessarily surprising. Because if a publisher is like willing to talk shop and put things on a subscription service, then they don't care whose they go on, as long as they're paid right. So Sony and Microsoft can approach the same third parties to get those on there. And it does beg the question on when are they going to start playing nasty with each other? When are Sony, because you know Sony are going to do it, it's what they're like. When are they going to say, put this game on PlayStation Plus, but don't put it on any other service? And start forcibly differentiating the catalogues in a way that basically means we all get less on each service to play. Annapurna makes shit games, July 2022. They've played, what is it? Annapurna had a game that I like, so I don't want to say like a whole slate. As a publisher, they do bad stuff, but they also do miss a lot. So whereas Devolver Digital make games and you're like, it's a Devolver Digital game, it's worth playing, because they seem to just have a knack for funding things that are good. With Annapurna, they miss a lot more often. Ashen, that's definitely not the one that it was for me. It's not the one that I'm thinking of. I've not played Ashen, but Sony needs to add anime shit in this device, in the service. Yeah, Sony have obviously all of the Funimation stuff and everything that they could. People speculated that they would add to this service, and they haven't, and that's fine. Like, if they want to keep it gaming and say this is a gaming service, it's fine. They've got options to start including films and anime and whatever else if they want to, or through some like umbrella service later if they want to. Yeah, Edith Finch, that was one. Annapurna had that. Good shout, KY. And now that you've said that, I'm suddenly remembering I've seen like some banner art. It was Annapurna banner art, and it had some of their highlights. Edith Finch was one of them they had on there, and there was another one as well. Edith Finch is being brought up to date for Series X and PlayStation 5, so they're doing an update patch. Don't suppose that they're charging 70 quid for it. Hopefully it's free, but who knows. The space guitar game with Apollo Creed. Welcome, Boozy the Clown. I am gonna take your word for it that that is a real thing. Space guitar game with Apollo Creed, but I don't know it. I like it already though. So, was that an Annapurna game? The other thing, so I'm gonna get off of PlayStation in a minute, but the other thing that the game catalog has for me is it does have a load of like B-tier JRPGs that I probably would spend some time playing in its game catalog. Unlike, so when I said earlier on the Xbox, you can look through like a list of 360 games and know that you're going to get a good experience playing on the Series X. You don't get that same level of confidence from Sony, so their classic games list I'm not likely to particularly touch. Hundreds of games. Hundreds of games, many of which are also, they've got Hollow Knight as well, I'm supposed to play that soon. Many of which are shared across Game Pass and PlayStation Plus and probably some other services as well. But it's not terrible. Like, probably glad to have it, maybe. I should make an effort to play something on the PlayStation service at some point. It's not Bug, it's Hollow Knight. The Artful Escape, I wondered if you were talking about the Artful Escape because it has guitars in it, but I didn't know it has Space or Apollo Creed in it. That's how Game Pass started, so we'll see how much Sony adds to it. Yeah. Yeah. There's always going to be these big questions over how long it takes to put Sony's first-party games in there. How long is it going to be until that Last of Us remake is just included in a subscription? Because that's how long it's going to be until I play it. Is this Yakuza backgrounds? You are the third person to get that right. This is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yes, it is. And the OST, I've decided nobody's going to get it right because none of you have played Neon White. The OST is the soundtrack from the game that I was talking about earlier, Neon White, that you all need to get on Steam so that we can compete in our speedrunning. You're going to install Returnal on the Plus. Yeah, Returnal is okay. It's on Plus, it's definitely worth a try. It does some things, Returnal does some things really well and some things not so well, but it's nice, it feels nice to play. Artful Escape was okay, but only made better by being on Game Pass. Oop, how much? How much what? Don't understand that question, but I do have a tendency to forget what I have said, so could be that how much makes perfect sense as a response to something that I've just said 12 seconds ago. What else were there, topics wise? How much does Neon White cost? I picked it up from CD Keys for like £12 or something. I think it's 20 if you get it directly on Steam, but if you have a little look around, you can definitely pick up a key. You got it right, Tony. You got it right. You haven't played that game yet. You're still playing through the other ones. I haven't played Yakuza Like a Dragon, really. I have had it installed since the launch of the console. I'm an idiot, and I bought it before it went onto Game Pass. Rims, I'll come back to that in a second. So I have Yakuza Like a Dragon. I bought it. It has cross-buy, which you don't get often enough anymore. Cross-buy used to be a Microsoft initiative where you'd buy a game on the Xbox and you could also get access to it on the PC. So at the launch of the Series X, I picked that one up as like one of the first games I anticipated that I would play, and then I just didn't get around to it. But from what I've seen of it, I kept it installed and I figured I'm just going to use it to find a background. I'm going to run around it, find a nice shot for a background for this stream. And it took a little while to find a background, and it took me through the intro chapter of the game, and I'm actually pretty well hooked on it now, despite not playing it, just from what I've seen. It has an awful lot of dialogue. I was skipping a lot of the dialogue because I wanted to get to running around to get my little bit of footage. So like skip dialogue, skip dialogue, skip dialogue, and you press it for like 10 minutes, and I can only wonder like how long that conversation would have lasted if I'd actually let it play out. But it is like, I want to play it. It's good. I can tell it's good already from what I have seen and done of it. And that one is on Game Pass, so get it and play it if you haven't already. It seems to be the talk of the town as people are getting their hands now, the Steam Deck. Right, so much as I don't like, or for much the same reason as I don't like the Switch, I don't want a Steam Deck. Gaz has one, and he likes it because he spends a lot of time on the toilet. I never go toilet, so I don't need a Steam Deck. Tony feels like the Steam Deck is being overrated. The Steam Deck is probably like good because it is a very low-end, like affordable-ish PC, and it being a PC means that the catalogue of games available is absolutely gigantic. There's an awful lot you can play on it if you like playing on a tiny screen, which I don't. So Wayne, oh yeah, of course Wayne, you've got Steam Deck, I remember. You've used it a few times. That's more than the twice that you'd used it last time we spoke. You're hoping to see it being chucked behind me in an updated Game On Daily intro. That would be a bit of an expense just for an intro, because that is all I would do with it, chuck it behind me. I'll ask Gaz if I can borrow his just for that purpose. And I hope that he says no. I hope that he's smart enough to say, no, I will not let you throw my Steam Deck for a 7-second intro. But it's Gaz, so he'll probably let me. Second gen Steam Deck could be great. Again, second gen Steam Deck, I still won't get. You're right, it'll probably be good. Like, it'll be the same thing but better, right? And it's already good for what it is. But I'm just not interested in portable games. I'm not interested in the small screen stuff. I like the game in the kind of main room TV experience. Nice fancy high frame rate monitor, I'm there for that. And virtual reality, I'm there for that. Portable gaming, which probably has the biggest audience of all of those, I don't care for. It's for people who like to get games working on it but never play them. So Boozy the Clown, you're right, there is an audience of people that just like to tinker. And people that like to tinker like the Steam Deck. And then those people probably should qualify their opinions before hyping it up too much, because it's not an experience for everyone. But it's a portable PC with access to a whole load of games. Gaz can lie behind the chair to catch it. Yeah. I mean, if I tell him to, he will. He's a bit scared of me. We'll see. He also plays Neon White, by the way, and most of his scores are terrible. He has one where he's gone hardcore sweat mode, but if you get Neon White on Steam, add me, add Gaz, beat us both. Why is he scared of me? I'm just a scary guy, I like to think. No other reason. What else? It's bring your own topic time. I might have had, I can't remember if there's anything else on my list of things to talk about. What did I put in the description for the video? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bring your own topic. What have we got? What do you want to talk about? Thumbnail had Last of Us and Stray. We've covered those. PlayStation All-Stars and PlayStation Premium were on there. I know that. Game pricing. See, game pricing, we could definitely go over all kinds of things on there. I could talk about like what goes into the price of games, what should and shouldn't go into it, where they are, where they should be, across multiple streams. But we kept that fairly light today and just talked about The Last of Us, which is fine. All Stars. The bruised nose bridge will scare people off, you reckon? So Wayne, you like the Steam Deck because you have a really bad attention span. So if you can keep your mind occupied, you don't get bored waiting for the wife or doctors. Why am I so red? Oh, Tony. I'm looking at myself now. A bit red mostly. The bridge of my nose is still red because it's still just a mess. Besides that, no, I have not been out in the sun. How much impact does game sharing have on profits? Should people do it to save money? They have different approaches on game sharing. So Microsoft, I don't think they'd go as far as endorsing it, but they have made it clear that it's okay. Like, they know people are doing it and sharing it with their friends outside their family. It's not how it's intended, but they know people are doing it and they're not going to ban them. I think Sony have more or less said you shouldn't be doing that. Like, game sharing is intended to be used in your house for your consoles that you own or whatever in your family. You're not supposed to share it across country with other people. But they haven't taken steps to like prevent you from doing it. So they obviously know that it's happening as well. And then, do you know who has the best game sharing actually? Guesses. You can guess first. Who's got the best game sharing? I don't actually. I should say I'm completely ignoring the Switch here. I don't know what Nintendo's policies for sharing digital games are. I think they're traditionally more tied to the console, aren't they? So anybody can sign into the console and play it. I don't know. Who knows what Nintendo does? Steam. Steam is a popular answer. So Steam's sharing is you can have 10 people in your little family plan, and you can enable it on up to 10 machines. So quite wide sharing, but their drawback is that you can only have one of them in use at a time. So if you have one account that's bought like 100 games and they've shared it with 10 people across 10 machines, it's generous in that sense, but restrictive in that if one of those people is playing, nobody else can. So no, Steam's not the winning answer. The winning answer, the one that surprises me most, the commonality between Xbox and PlayStation isn't a coincidence. It's basically as far as they can push it with third-party publishers like EA and Activision. Game Pass, no, Game Pass isn't particularly well shareable. I mean specifically in terms of the ability to share your purchases and games that you can access with friends and family. So Steam has 10 people, 10 devices. PlayStation and Xbox both have the same concept of a home machine and a profile. Xbox does need a family plan. All of these need family plans. They should be a thing that exists. But the one that surprised me, drum roll, Google Stadia. You can share Game Pass across consoles. Yeah, you can have the home console and you can have your account signed in somewhere else, but you can't share it beyond those two. So Game Pass, like Xbox games, is the one license for your hardware and one for the person, one for the account. Google Stadia lets you share everything that you buy, everything that you subscribe to with 5 accounts. You should forget that Stadia exists. Everybody should forget that Stadia exists. But Google have managed to negotiate much better sharing than the others. So if you've got their $9.99 a month subscription that lets you claim a game, or whatever games they put on monthly, or if you are silly enough to buy any games on Stadia, you can share them with 5 people, all playing at once. Wherever you are, whatever device you're on. And I don't know how they managed to convince Ubisoft and EA and Activision to let them do that with purchases, because nobody else can. And Microsoft's Windows licensing is a lot more generous than their Xbox licensing. Like, you buy apps on the Windows Store and you can share those across 10 devices and the rest of it, but not games. Stadia lets you do 5 and 5. Weird bit of trivia. Tony, I could. If I liked you, I could give you access to all of the stuff that I own on Google Stadia. And it happens, Tony, I do like you. You're welcome to it. You give me your Google details sometime and I'll see if I can add you to it. And you can play... I don't know. Not a lot. Are there still 5 people playing Stadia? No. No. Stadia is just me and Google now. So maybe if I share my account with Tony, someone at Google will be able to like march into their next Monday morning meeting and say, look at our growth. We've gone from 1 person to 2. And they can like brush the fact that there's no money for it under the carpet. Not Gaz, no. No, I've not shared it with anyone yet. I should set up a Discord channel. What I should do, Wayne, so Game On Daily has a Discord channel, and you should all join in there. What I should do is make some rooms in there that are more my stuff. I will do that. That is planned. I just haven't done it yet. Stickman. Game Pass is cool, cross-platform. You play on Xbox and your friend is on PC. Yeah, cross-platform gameplay is wonderful. Everything should do it. Game Pass makes things very easy, particularly for the multiplayer experiences. And yeah, I can use Xbox or PC. I've got them attached to the same screen, so my situation is a bit different to most people's, but I find I use both. I use the PC and the Xbox, depending on what the game is. So Sony will be trembling at the Stadia numbers. Well, they could do. Are there no restrictions on on the disco anymore? I don't know. Gaz might have taken them away. He said that he was planning to at some point. Stadia does have a free level, yes. So Stadia has a free level that doesn't include very much. It's 1080p streaming, which is probably fine for some people. But content-wise, I'm not sure what's available and what isn't. It won't be a lot without paying. Isla, you can definitely drop a link, yes. For anyone that wants to join the Discord, it's got a fair amount of people in. It's generally fairly quiet, but that will change. The Discord will be used particularly for our super secret special new Tuesday show that's coming in the near to mid future. So yes, get in that Discord. I will set up some me specific rooms as well for a chat about these shows and things like that. Tony's going to join. Good. Everybody should join. We can talk about Neon White and whatever else. Do I think Stadia would have flourished better once fiber internet had become more widespread? No, I don't, to be honest. Stadia actually works really well, so it's not so much a performance issue. I think the problems with Stadia are more to do with the fact that Google never really pushed it. Like, it was always kind of experimental for them, and I think they backed away from it before it ever really had a chance. So when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, Google responded by shitting the bed and getting rid of all their own studios. Stadia was already... I say it was good and it was usable. Cloud streaming in general and the kind of future expansion of the market, I always see it as more of a casual thing. It'll be a long, long time before cloud gaming is good enough for me, but it won't be any time at all until it is good enough for like the rest of my family that are less discerning in what they're looking at. For people that, I mean, take the Series X as an example, right? If you bought a Series X, then you probably care enough about visuals that streaming wouldn't be for you. But if you bought a Series S, which is perfectly valid and fine way to game, then there's a fair chance that actually you'll be converted to cloud gaming sooner rather than later, because you don't care so much about just how crisp things look. You're just happy to go and play a game, and cloud streaming is good for that. It's already good for that. The server side of things, Rims, I don't think Google pulled out because of the server side of things. Like, it's a difficult way to see how they were going to carry that forwards, because they set it all up using AMD's Vega line of graphics cards. So it was, at the point that they launched Stadia, it was a lot more powerful than the consoles that were on shelves back then, which was the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and the Pro and the One X even. Stadia was better than those by a distance, but it was superseded very quickly by the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. And I don't know what Stadia's initial plan was, like how they foresaw upgrading the hardware in their Stadia infrastructure, but they haven't done it, and they probably won't now. It's probably going to be stuck on Vega forever, because like I say, they got rid of their own studios. So Haven, that Sony closed the deal on this week, Jade Redmond's studio, they weren't known as Haven as Google, like when they were working for Google, but most of the staff of that studio were Google Stadia first party, and they had various games. They had deals with third parties as well, so The Quarry and High on Life that comes out in October, those were all Stadia exclusive games before Google shit the bed. And I really think that was directly a response to Microsoft buying ZeniMax, and then Google just went, whoa, how many billion? This is the price just to compete on content? Nah, don't care about games enough for all of that. You're Spartan131 in Discord. Well, now, Tony, I can go on there and change your nickname if I choose, I think. Lolman55555, welcome along. 80 monies a remake seems fair. You want to pay more than they're charging. You think you're ripping off Sony with their 70 monies price. Kojima's project was also on Stadia, so Painful Discourse, you mean the one that they signed on with Xbox, their cloud project. Wayne, it wasn't so Stadia got rid of their studios before the Activision thing, like almost immediately after the ZeniMax announcement. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Painful Discourse, that, I mean, like Google's thing was obviously cloud native by default, so, and they never really, I'm surprised actually that they never, their big angle had to be YouTube. If they wanted Stadia to seriously succeed, then YouTube was their obvious way in. You've got a ton of gaming content on YouTube, and if that gaming content came with like play now links, then people would be using Stadia without realizing it. I banned you from the Discord once. Yeah, and it can happen again. You watch yourself. How have I been handling the recent heatwave? About 8 yards in that direction I've got an air conditioner. It's actually switched off at the moment, which is silly of me. But yeah, I have been handling the heatwave by sitting in front of the air conditioner. I actually haven't been handling it very well. I was outside, I had a funeral that I had to attend yesterday, which I won't go into like details on, but it was very warm. Sadness and warmth. And between them, I then had various things to do in the evening. And by the end of the day, I was feeling fairly ill. I don't handle heat well. I can handle the sun just by staring at it. Sun cowers at my face. Tony, wise words. I'll give it a go. Today has been okay. I wouldn't know. I've literally been indoors with the curtains drawn all day, sitting by the air conditioner. So I'll take your word for it. At that moment, the war commenced. They were concerned with Twitch too much. Google are big enough that that shouldn't have been a problem. They are obviously, like, their live streaming stuff, they're trying to catch up with Twitch in some ways. They've got advantages over Twitch in some ways, but they do seem to be taking that seriously. Like, they do want to be a live streaming platform for things like that. Did you thank me for making you laugh the other week when you buried your mum? I don't need thanks. If I provided any help or relief whatsoever, good. Like, good. Because that must have been hard. I saw Mixer died for Microsoft. Yeah. It's the thing is, so on the streaming side of things, Mixer dying isn't like a big flag that there's an opportunity there. I would think if you're running Google and you see Microsoft give up on the streaming space, that's like the opposite of an opportunity. That's a warning sign that maybe the streaming space is not a viable place for a platform to thrive. Maybe it's already sewn up, but YouTube does have certain big advantages over Twitch, namely the search algorithms on it. Do you think we'll see a native Game Pass act for Steam Deck and Switch? Rims, I'm genuinely surprised that we don't have Game Pass on Steam already. Switch less so. Nintendo are pretty resistant to it. There's always a challenge for Microsoft in terms of putting Game Pass on other platforms, is there'll be an expectation from people going onto it that the full library of games that you can get on Game Pass, you also get if you subscribe to Game Pass via Steam. So, and that'll include, if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, then your EA games would be on Steam. If you want to play whatever Assassin's Creed game, Odyssey, then that should include it on Steam if you've got Game Pass on that platform. And that complicates things a bit. On the Nintendo side of things, you could see them saying, right, you can stream everything on your Switch now. And it would seem like a really obvious fit, right? I don't know why Nintendo would be reluctant to have it on there, but they are reluctant to have it on there. Steam, I fully expect it to just arrive at some point. The groundwork is already there. You can get you can subscribe to EA Play on Steam already. And it would have taken some work the first time around to get a subscription over there working, giving you access to games. Through that mechanism, Microsoft and Steam just need to kind of like follow the path that's already laid there. And Gabe Newell has spoken fondly of Microsoft. Microsoft obviously speak fondly of Steam. I don't think there's any hostility or friction. So I expect that. Am I looking forward to Hypercharge Unboxed? Don't tell Mike, but I haven't played Hypercharge. Oh no! I'm thinking of a completely different game. You're talking about the toys one. I don't need to look forward to it because it's on Steam already, so I can get it and play it. It's doing well on Steam at the moment. I haven't got it and played it yet, but I could do. I think so. It's listed on Steam as being like a co-op centric game, so maybe in that case I'm better off waiting for it to come to Xbox and playing it there. So Rims, back to your question on Game Pass. I expect it to go onto Steam and by extension onto the Steam Deck. A little bit surprised at the hold up. I suspect it's just a discussion on margins, like how much Microsoft are willing to give up to Valve, because the price will be the same. So it's just Microsoft losing a cut of their subscription. Xbox and Nintendo had that partnership commercial against Sony with Fortnite. Don't remember that? Oh yes, I do. When they were trying to get crossplay emphasized, and it became crossplay on those platforms first, didn't it? Google kills every project after 2 years if it's not a massive success. Yes, Google do have to be fair, so do Microsoft and so do Sony, have reputations for killing big, promising projects if they're not hitting the numbers that they want. Game Pass on Steam would be a huge opportunity for Xbox. I mean, Microsoft's games on Steam do really well. This is the weird thing about the PC space. There is a huge market of PC gamers that are very reluctant to go to Microsoft Store. My voice is going through, not feeling very well, so this will have to wrap up soon because I think I'm probably just a big croaky mess now. The Xbox version is a revamp of the PC version. Oh, of Hypercharge. Yeah, I think the PC version's getting the updates as well. So in the PC space, it's quite normal for games to release in kind of early access that bleeds into a release version, but then still gets updated quite a bit. I think everything that they're adding to the Xbox version is also coming to the PC version. But so I can't remember his name, but I saw on XNC they were talking about like the introduction of a story mode and things like that. Things that are fairly substantial upgrades to the game in terms of making it a complete package. So yes, that's the reason that I haven't jumped straight onto the PC version to have a look at it. I might get it at some point. It's not particularly expensive on the PC. Pixelbit G, welcome along, and thank you. Xbox released a breakdown of how to add cloud online to the Steam Deck, so it's a matter of time. Yeah, the Steam Deck is by nature a very open platform, so Microsoft coming out and saying how to do that wouldn't necessarily mean that they were playing nice with Valve, because they don't need to play nice with Valve to make use of an open platform, which is like the beauty of the PC space and why Microsoft sometimes pretend that they're getting along with Linux and sometimes don't. But I do think that they are, like, Valve and Microsoft are on good terms at the moment. Microsoft probably has to be careful with Tim Sweeney. So when it comes to Steam, it may well come to the Unreal store as well. But yeah, I do expect them to sell Game Pass on these other PC storefronts. You've set up xCloud on your Steam Deck and it runs well. That's... I'm not going to say surprising. It's not surprising, but it's... like xCloud, by reputation, most people would say it needs a wire. Are you wiring up your Steam Deck, or does it work well wirelessly as well? And Pixelbit G, when you're playing on the Steam Deck and you're playing Xbox Game Pass, does that mean that you've installed Windows, or can you run it through one of the browsers on the native Steam OS? There's the Steam... I don't know what version of Wi-Fi the Steam Deck supports, Tony. I do know that the Oculus Quest 2 is only running Wi-Fi 5 something and can handle VR streamed. You have to be pretty close proximity to the router, but in terms of bandwidth and connection strength, my wireless VR is all through Wi-Fi 5, which is why I still believe that Sony must surely have a wireless module coming for their VR headset. I'll be disappointed if they don't. You're going to watch the Halo co-op stream after this. Is that... Oh, that's so sweet. It ended 30 minutes ago, but you came here as a priority. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by and coming along for this conversation before Halo co-op. I will check that out as well and see. I didn't actually know that was happening right now. Also, I don't necessarily need to see a co-op stream particularly, because kind of it's just going to be more Halo, but with an extra person or two, right? 4-player co-op, isn't it? PlayStation 5 has Wi-Fi 6, yes, and the only reason that I can see is obviously Wi-Fi 6 is like the latest standard, so it could just be a coincidence that they chucked it in there because why not? It's the current. But my hope is that it is in there because the PlayStation 5 is made for VR, and the Wi-Fi 6 will help it be wireless, which Sony haven't said yet. Sony announced the PlayStation VR 2 as a wired USB-C device, but USB-C and Wi-Fi 6 are comparable in bandwidth, so they should be able to do it wireless, and I'll be mad at them if they don't. Steam Deck only has 2.4 and 5. That's not the same thing, Tony. The frequency isn't the same. So Wi-Fi 6 should still be on I don't actually know what bandwidth it's on. But if you've seen that Steam Deck only has Wi-Fi 5, whatever standard, then so be it. Anyone play Power Washer Simulator? I haven't. For some people, that's the kind of game that they'll find quite relaxing and actually like Lawnmower Simulator. I'm trying to be fairly discerning with what games I play. If I don't love the crap out of it, then there are other games I could be playing that I would love the crap out of. There are too many games that I really want to play for me to be playing stuff that would fill the gaps. There are no gaps to fill. I want to play Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to play Yakuza Like a Dragon. I want to play Horizon Forbidden West. I want to play Cyberpunk. I want to play too many things to be cleaning stuff in Power Washer Simulator. See, Wayne really wants to try it, but Wayne, I know, also enjoys a bit of Lawnmower Simulator, and that's fine. Like, for some people, that's something that games provide, like that chilled out, something to focus on experience. But I don't know, I crave the other kind of games too much to spend time on the slower paced stuff. Painful Discourse, Wi-Fi 6 generally works on the 5 GHz frequency. I thought that it did, but I didn't want to say things out loud that might have been completely wrong. It could have been like 60 GHz for all I could tell, because I don't really follow it that closely. But yes, my understanding was that it was still 5 GHz. Power wash that filthy mouth. That's a lion. I'm assuming you're talking to Wayne. Because my words are pure and hygienic. Yeah, so Escape Academy is on your list. I had never heard of that. I looked at the trailer for it on the Game Pass app. And the trailer that plays on Game Pass app shows that it is literally an escape room game, and it starts off in a room and you look around the room and then you go to a bookcase and you had to interact with the books, and it chose a particular order that was like Egypt, Greece, I don't know, Spain or something. Interacting with these books in a specific order to open the bookcase and escape the room. And I just like, nope, that's not a thing that I want to do. That is the kind of game that will make me vomit. It will join the very small list of games that I don't like alongside 12 minutes. So I'm probably not going to touch Escape Academy. I'm sure this was just a flaw in the trailer, and actually if you were playing it and you were exploring that room, there would be some clue telling you how to interact with the books. There would be a puzzle to it. It's not so much the visuals. See, you say the visuals aren't great, but the puzzles look good. For me, the visuals were fine and the puzzle looked terrible. I appreciate that the trailer was like, it skipped the puzzle part of the puzzle though. It like went, here's a room and here's the answer to a puzzle. And I didn't like it, and I can't play it. You can set Wi-Fi 6 to 2.4 gigahertz from what you remember. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All this talk of Wi-Fi, it makes me want my VR headset back. So the Quest 2, it's actually remarkably good wireless Quest 2. I've got, my router is not too far away from my VR treadmill. And I wasn't sure how well it would work to play wirelessly, because VR is more demanding than anything else. You talk about like Xbox Game Pass cloud streaming or Google Stadia, and people always say like they work better with a cable. VR is more demanding than any of them, because like that latency is you looking around, so your interactions are real. So I really didn't think it would work very well wirelessly, but it's spot on, it's perfect. I couldn't believe how good it was when I tried it. I can't go back to wired VR now, which is why Sony have to give me wireless on the PlayStation. And Phil Spencer is right about that one when he says that wireless is the way forward. The only area that he's wrong is where he says that he needs to wait for wireless, whereas actually wireless is there. And it would be high risk. I understand Sony not having it as the default for the PSVR 2, because for a lot of people it won't work perfectly. Like I say, I'm like this far away from the router when I do it. A lot of people will not have a perfect environment to play VR, and they can't sell something that out of the box doesn't work. What's happening with both the sweat damaged VR headsets? So it was a mission to get rid of. One of them I've already had a refund for. So they were both bought from Amazon. One of them was outside of its 1 year warranty. So Amazon promised a 2-year warranty when you buy a VR headset. I had one headset that was within the first year and one that was within the second year. The one that was within the second year, Amazon just like, oh, okay, send it back and we'll give you a refund. And like a day later, I had a refund for it. Perfect. The one that was in the first year, Amazon said, oh, your warranty's still with Facebook, with Oculus, with Meta, whatever they're called. So you're going to have to go through their customer service. That one has been a mission. It's like, I'm getting worked up thinking about it. It took weeks of talking to them just to get them to send me the returns label, to send it back to their repair center, which is in the Czech Republic. And they gave me a returns label for DHL Express and said, drop it off with DHL. And I went to the DHL collection point and they're like, we can't take this. And I went to the DHL depot and they went, we can't take this. DHL Express is a specific, like distinct from DHL depot. And it wasn't even that close. I had to go there and drop it off just to get the thing sent off. It's gone now. It's away. Meta haven't acknowledged that they've received it at their end, but hopefully in a week or two I'll have a VR headset back. Do you need an op to remove sweat glands before playing VR? KY, I have a confession. I'm exceptionally sweaty. I'm more sweaty than a mere mortal. I can, like, jet sweat from my head. So no, you probably don't need to get your sweat glands removed. You just need to be a normal human being. And not a gross, sweaty dickhead like I am. Baz Crid Keeper, welcome along. You do need eyes. You do need eyes. You need matrix-sized cables for VR. No, Tony, we're talking about wireless VR right now. And it's so good. I actually think, don't tell Meta, but I think the reason that their headsets are breaking, the Meta Quest headsets have a 120 Hz mode. So, screen refreshing 120 frames per second. Which they label as experimental, and I think the experiment has failed. No, Tony, I can't literally squirt sweat from my forehead, but I can definitely drip a lot of it into a VR headset until it breaks. Wish I could literally squirt from my forehead, that would be a talent, but no. Anyway, on that, on being a sweaty dickhead, that's probably enough for today, so... Painful discourse. I have no answer for that. The 120 Hz spec cannot keep up with my treadmill and Skyrim VR. I suspect that the 120 Hz mode runs the headset hotter than it would usually run, combined with the extreme temperatures of me running around on a treadmill. Has probably melted the silicon in the headset. Aluminum chloride should help. Yes, enough of the squirting. That's enough. That's a good stream conclusion. So, okay, everyone's come back. It's great. Thank you for coming back and talking to me again. Thank you for bringing your topics and making it another fun one. Thank you, Painful Discourse. That's the kindest thing anyone has ever said to me. Get Neon White so that we can challenge speedrun high scores, play lots of games, have lots of fun. Check GameOnDaily.com, and I will see you next time.
ASA Game On Daily.